If your business has crossed the seven-figure 1 million mark, but still feels as heavy as it was when you were trying to hit your first six figures, well, you're not doing it wrong. And today I'm going to explain to you why more revenue does not automatically create more support and why bigger teams actually cause more stress in work than the smaller team that you had before. So, hey there, I'm Salen. I am your scale and systems strategist for service based women business owners at the $1 million mark who are feeling like their business is the old 90s song, More Money, More Problems, where everything seems to still land on your plate, but just at an escalated level. And you're like, why is my team still asking me this question? I've answered it 10 times already this month. Why do clients come to me when there is a problem? Why am I the only one seeing that we can't run the business schedule this way because this is not optimized? Why can't my sales team close as well as I do? All of these questions are completely normal at this level. And today we're going to break it all down. So let's jump in. As you're coming on, I want you to let me know. Tell me in the comments what type of business you have. So, what industry are you in? I know that you're here and you are a small business and you're a service based business, but what industry are you in? While you're doing that, I'm going to share this live from into my Facebook group because Facebook is still giving me a hard time about that. And I want to make sure those women have the information. Okay. So let's dive in. So here's the thing, right? Most women think that when you hit the $1 million mark that your business somehow magically matures. It's kind of like with kids, right? When we become a teenager, you automatically think, or actually more like when you hit 18, you automatically think like, oh, your child's an adult now, but you're like, nothing changed from yesterday to today. They're still asking me to, help them with their homework. I'm still asking them to get dressed, to clean up their room, to, make dinner, to do all of those kinds of things. And so just because you've crossed over the $1 million mark doesn't mean that your business has matured into a seven-figure business that is ready to scale. What happens most of the time is that $1 million mark just exposes a big truth that we really weren't prepared for. I know I wasn't back in 2010. And so most of my clients are not easier. And that truth is that your business backend infrastructure hasn't grown as fast as your revenue. And this is why your team, that's supposed to be your support team and handling things, just feels like a bunch of teenagers running around, still asking you for help all day, every day, right? And you're still fixing things in order to kind of push them out the door and do their job, right? So, the old belief is that more revenue should create more time freedom, more money, more flexibility, less items coming through your inbox, less things ending up on your desk. But essentially, more freedom and more revenue are not equal if your business isn't set up behind the scenes, right? So, if your $1 million business is feeling heavier, give me a yeah, that's me in the comments, right? And it doesn't mean that your business is broken or you failed or you built it wrong or any of those kinds of things. It just literally means that your revenue grew faster than your back end infrastructure. But here's the best news of all, it's completely fixable and it's actually not that hard to fix. But most of the women that I work with are so entrenched in the daily operations, fixing things, cleaning things, redoing things, setting things up, that they just don't have the time or the bandwidth to be able to zoom out and really see what those changes need to happen. That's where I come in, right? So, when we hit a million, I know personally when I hit my first million, no one told me what to expect. They don't talk to us about the pressure that comes with it, right? Where on the outside, you look wildly successful. You have $1 million business. You're well known in your community. People respect you, like all of those kinds of things. But behind the scenes, you go in your office and you shut your door and you're like, wow, that's two different worlds. Like out there, I look like the hero, and inside, I feel like this woman that just can't get it all together because there's just so much to do all day, every day. I feel like I'm doing my job and 10 other people's job, right? So if this is you, then I see you, right? So you have the money coming in, but on the revenue side, maybe your pocketbook isn't feeling as profitable as it was. I was working with a new client the other day, and she was saying, actually, the more our revenue has grown, my profit has decreased. That's where the opportunities to really look into where are your profit opportunities and potential money leaks, right? And it's again, nothing that you've done wrong. It's just as things get bigger, more pressure comes, and you've kind of lost a little bit of control in the business as things have gone. So, really, seven figures can create a very fragile business. And what happens is at that $1 million level, all those cracks and all that duct tape behind the scenes becomes a lot more visible. So, if you thought that hitting a million was going to buy you some time relief and some freedom and it hasn't, then you are in the right spot today. So let's dig into really what is going on here. So the big issue, it's not you, it's your team. But the bigger issue is it's not your team, it's you that hasn't set your team up to function independently, right? So, what do I mean by that? So, here's the thing. When you go through the three-part hiring process that I have in my signature program, this is the process that we use to screen over 15,000 applicants, do over 7,000 interview, and hire thousands of people in my first business, right? So we figured out what the best way was to hire, recruit, and onboard new team members. So we were essentially setting up to be the most successful for not only them, but for me as the owner, for the manager of all of those team members. Because just because you hire someone to do a job doesn't mean you've given them the proper onboarding for them to own that job. Now, this doesn't just come during the training process. A proper onboarding of your team starts way before you even think about hiring someone. And this is why, if you're saying to yourself, listen, hired the best person for the job. She seemed totally skilled, but I don't understand why she continues to ask me questions all day, every day about how to do her job. And it's because you didn't fail at training her. You probably did a really good job. But the problem is you didn't have the business set up in pillar one, which is our structure pillar, in order for her to succeed and have the clarity on how to make decisions like you are able to. So, what do we do in pillar one, right? Pillar one is all about clarity around how the business is unique. What services do you offer and why this is important to the business? Let me give you an example, right? So, let's say your salesperson comes to you and says, I got a call for this service, right? And I talked to them and they seem amazing, but they asked if we could do this, and I wasn't sure if we could. That line right there is a clear indicator that you did not set up pillar one, the structure pillar, in your business uh, clear enough, thorough enough, or just maybe not at all. Because when you set that up and then review that during your onboarding of a new team member, your team member is able to quickly determine whether every single sales, inquiry, call, consult, whatever you call them, is a good fit or not. And there's no need for them to ask you. Is this making sense? If it is, give me a yes, that makes sense in the comments. Okay. Let's talk about another situation. So, I have another client who owns a brick and mortar location, right? And one of the things that we were working on is she wants to maximize the hours that she's open, right? So she's open from, this time in the morning to this time at night. And she's like, I need to maximize that to make sure that I'm bringing in the most amount of clients that I can possibly handle. But what happens is my staff creates the schedule, and the schedule is not optimized for our busiest times of the day and week. So she's like, it's almost like my scheduler, so the manager who does the schedule, right, just literally goes plunk, 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 and kind of puts people into their slots without future thinking how, oh, Tuesdays between 10 and 2 are our busiest time. So instead of having one person on, we really need to have three people on, right? She's not understanding that. Well, here's the thing. You probably have an amazing office manager, right? Like, most of the clients that I work with, they don't need to fire their team members, right? You have team. We just need to retrain them on the pillars that you kind of skimmed over. There's four core pillars for structural scale. So in pillar two, it's all about systems. And if you had your system on how to schedule to maximize profitability, optimize the busy times of a business, then that person that you hired would be following a system and not just doing what they think is right. Right. And then what happens, right, is they do it and you either catch it before it happens and you fix it, or you're left scrambling on Tuesdays between 10 and 2 when you don't have enough staff. Right. So it's like one of those two scenarios. So it's not that the office manager who does the scheduling is wrong. She's just lacking the system on how to do it right. That is such an easy solution. And that is something that quickly we can get fixed before she does next week's schedule. Think about that, right? Like when I work with clients, I'm like, okay, this is your issue. Great. Let's get to the root of why it's happening. Let's get a solution in place. Go do it. And then here's how you're going to retrain that team member to make her understand why we're doing this and how to do it better the next time. And then guess what's going to happen? You're never going to have this problem again. And it's literally looking at that list of things that you fix and touch all day, every day in the daily operations where you're spending 80% of your time. And we're just like, knocking them off one by one by one by one. But we are not putting band-aids on them. We are putting forever fixes on them, right? Okay. So let's talk about this. So let's move into why this is so important. So, pillar one, I said, was structure. This is the clarity. This is everything to do with how you run the business, what makes you unique, why your services are so amazing, like why you get those 5-star reviews, right? Pillar two is systems. So, when you have a team, right? And let's think of it like a building. So, pillar one is your structure. This is the foundation, right? So, this is like the concrete that they poured for the foundation of your business house, right? And then what happens is pillar two is your system. So, this is like the first floor. This is where all the action kind of happens, right? This is your kitchen, your dining room, your living room, right? This is like the action spot. So this is your systems. This is how everything kind of jives together. Well, when you have a support team on the second story of your business house, right? And they don't have that clear foundation, so they know what happened there. They don't know what's going on in the first level, which is systems. Then that second level is just chaos because they don't have those two things that it's built on, right? So you can keep adding layers to your house, right? You can keep building stories. But what happens is if you don't have those foundational pillars in place and in the right order, yes, they go in order for a specific reason. Everything is just causing that stress. And that's why you, as the owner, has your hand in everything all day, every day, right? But here's the thing. It's not that you're going to see the stress right away in your revenue because you're amazing. You've already proven your services. So your revenue keeps ticking up, right? But the cost of what happens when your revenue starts kicking up, kicking up, kicking up, and your owner dependency is kicking up, kicking up, kicking up at the same time. That means you're fixing things, you're always reviewing things, you're trying to catch things before there's an issue, you're micromanaging your people, all of those kinds of things. What happens is you are literally costing yourself your like decision fatigue, like all day, every day. Your brain is trying to transfer from one problem to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next, right? You're feeling some resentment about the business. Like, I thought $1 million was going to get me like a better business. Like, why can't this person figure it out and just do their job? I hired them. I'm paying them really good money. I don't get it, right? You're also feeling like that low grade pressure, right? Like, just, do you ever feel like, let's slow down for a second, like that weight on your chest, right? Where it just feels so heavy and you're like, why is this feeling so heavy? That is the weight of owner dependency. You have difficulty unplugging. So it's spring break here in Florida this week. And I have many business owners locally that I work with, and they're saying to me, all I wanted to do was unplug this week and hang out with my family. And I can't because the business still needs me, right? All of these things is the weight of $1 million business with a back end infrastructure that's just not built to hold it. Now, as I said, the good news is it's all fixable and pretty easily, but there has to be a process in order to make that happen. And that's exactly what I do with women. So we go into your business. I have a 3-phase approach over a 12-month-long program. And we go in and we dig into your business. So you're already working. Have you heard the phrase working in your business, not on your business? So right now you're working in your business, right? So instead of you just working in it every day and just going from thing to thing to thing to thing to thing, what I have you do is become more aware of all of the things you're fixing, and we slow down a little bit in order to put permanent fixes in place and not just band-aids on them, right? And so then that's phase one, right? So we're working on everything inside of the business. No more band-aids. We're putting permanent concrete foundation that's going to last hundreds of years in your business. Phase two is the transition period. This is where it's like, okay, my scheduler always seems to struggle with getting the schedule right. I've now developed a system for how to do that. I've retrained her, and now it's time for me to step back, let her do it, and see the effects of how it kind of goes, right, for a week, and see that, and see if what I put together was clear enough and thorough enough for her to understand why we do it this way, why it's important to the business, and here's how to do it. So that second phase of us working together is really kind of testing what you fixed, right? We ripped off the band-aids, we put real solid concrete foundational like systems in place and processes. And then the next phase is where we get you out of the daily operations and we help you become the strategic leader that you know you are. We're building your confidence by getting you the confidence to make smart, educated business decisions, right? Like things are still coming across your desk, but you're easily making decisions as a strategic leader. You maybe are becoming more well known in your community. Maybe you do some speaking, like whatever it is that you want to do. Maybe you open a new location. Maybe you start in another state. Maybe you're just enjoying your life more. Whatever it is, right? But that shift to truly working on the business is where we turn you into that strategic leader that you know you are. You just needed the confidence and the structure behind it in order for it to work. And it's so much easier. So, as we're wrapping up here, here's my message for you. If seven figures feels heavier than you expected, please know you are not bad at business, right? Like there's nothing you're doing wrong. What it means is that your business has just outgrown what you have built on the back end. And you're being asked at this moment to design a better business that can carry its own weight without you in the daily operations. So, if this resonated for you today, I want to encourage you to book a scale strategy session. This is where we get on the phone. You tell me what is the biggest thing weighing you down right now, whether that's your team, whether that's, your vendors, whether it's cash flow, whatever it is, right? And then we look at what would be the best fix, long-term fix, not duct tape fix, in order to get you no longer having to deal with that issue. All right. And then we can talk about whether you would like help putting this in place, right? Because where there's one issue, there's usually more behind the scenes. And so we uncover all of those. And it's amazing what transforms, right? So during those calls, women are saying to me, yes, this is exactly what I need. Oh my God, you understand where I am. I never thought of it that way. Or, yeah, you're so right. Like, if I just did that, then this would change, right? So it's very eye opening aha moments. It's very grounded. It's not salesy. It's super just a conversation between you and I looking at your business from a big, wider lens, right? That's what my specialty is I can see what's going on from that wide angle lens where you're so zoomed in that you're struggling to see the bigger picture. And then we come together in order for you to get the pillars in place to become that strategic leader and run your business from that wide angle, zoomed out lens. So, comment scale if you want to get on a call and you're like, yes, I need to talk about this now. And we will go over what that could look like for you. So, I hope you have a fantastic day. Remember, you are a true success. Only 2% of women will reach $1 million in revenue, and you have done it. And I am here to help you take your revenue success and make it all operational success, revenue success, more profitable. And so, more money in your pocketbook, but also give you back some of your time and really release some of that decision, the fatigue that you feel all day. So, have a great day. If you want to get on a scale strategy session, that is your next step. And I will see you there.